ESPN anchor Stephen A. Smith told CNSNews.com that while he applauds some of the policies of President Barack Obama, he is highly skeptical of raising taxes on people making over $250,000 a year. He also worries that the immense federal spending increases, $1.3 trillion, ultimately will have to be paid by our children and grandchildren. How would you grade President Obama's performance so far?
It's pretty difficult to say. I think it's too early to give him a grade. There have been times when I've looked at some of the decisions that he's made and I've said, you know what, I applaud that. You know, for example, when you want to go after corporations in terms of people that's sending business overseas and you want to encourage them to do business here in America, I definitely like that. But when you spend more than $1.3 trillion, I'm a little bit iffy about stuff like that. Stuff like that makes me a little bit nervous because I'm fiscally conservative in that regard. I don't like to spend a lot of money because ultimately our children and our grandchildren will be paying for it. And I'm very, very mindful of that.
Well, there's talk of him raising taxes on people making over $250,000 a year like he promised during the campaign trail. Do you think that would be something that would spark, get the economy rolling again?
Well, I would hope so, but I will say I'm a bit skeptical about that simply because when you target big businesses, understand that the private sector, just as much as the public sector, they hire people. People who are poor don't hire people, and they don't hire themselves. They need somebody to employ them. So when you're going after people that are making over $250,000 a year, specifically individuals who employ other people, then what you're doing is you're making it for a shaky foundation. Because what's going to happen then is that ultimately, what are they going to do? Take a salary cut and just pay taxes with a smile on their face? No, they're probably going to lay off somebody, which is going to contribute to the unemployment rate, which can make things a bit shaky. So I'm always skeptical about stuff like that. You want to support him because he preached about change and how we were going to change things. Well, you want to give it time to see how those changes actually affect our society. But at the same time, am I skeptical about it? Like every American, I am, because I should be. We should always be mindful of what our politicians are doing.
What do you think in general about celebrities involving themselves in the political process? Do you think that they should do that?
If they know what they're talking about, yes. If they're oblivious to what's going on and they're not paying attention, then I would say no. You don't do it for camera time. You don't do it for publicity. You do it because you care about this country, the progress it's making or lack thereof, and you want to address issues that are pertinent and important to you. That's when you get involved, because obviously you can't just do it for public appearances or for camera time. You have to do it because you're sincere in your heart about changes that need to be made and your willingness to put forth the effort to address those changes.
Any causes that you've taken up?
I mean, obviously, anytime when you think about the inner city community, that's something that's near and dear to my heart because that's where I come from. So when you look at the poverty issue, obviously that's important. The education issue, that's important. I think about those two things more so than anything else. And of course, the illiteracy thing, that falls in line with education because I struggled as a youngster in elementary school, getting left back before I really got my act together and got my issues addressed as well. So those are the things that are near and dear to my heart.
So how's it feel to be at the Correspondence Center? What brings you to the White House Correspondence Center?
I've never been here before. My lawyer happens to be one of my best friends in the world, and she obviously comes here every year, and she invited me, so I jumped at the opportunity.
Nicholas Ballasy, CNSNews.com, Washington.